Good morning. Welcome to Caffeinate Your Career. Today's topic is going to be how to ace the phone screen. I'm your host, the career coach with the most, Jason Hopper, and I am flying solo today, but that'll be just fine. Checking to see if we're live. There we go. Yes, we are live and I can hear me. So everything's working correctly today. Let me turn that down. All right, let's get into it. And if you got any questions, put them in the chat. I'll be looking at the chat. So in the age of video, right? You guys are watching me on video. In the age of video, recruiters are still pretty phone centric. The first move is going to be to call. And you want to make sure that you're prepared. Now, just so that you know, the phone interview is a real interview. It's the thing that's going to get you the next interview, right? You should know that your phone screens are going to be typically fairly short, anywhere from 15 minutes to at longest 30 minutes, but they'll be pretty fast. I'm going to start with, thank you, Yolanda. Yolanda Chen let me know that I am live, and I see you also, Elizabeth Riddlemeyer. All right. Now, I'm going to start by saying for phone screens, check your email. And that sounds kind of weird, right? Like, Jason, like talk about phones. Why am I checking my email? A lot of employers and recruiters will send a email to you with their Calendly and let you know they're interested in talking to you and you can book time with them. This is a huge time saver on the recruiter's part, where they can reach out to numerous candidates, have candidates book time with them instead of going back and forth. So make sure that you're checking your emails regularly. This actually happened to, you don't want to miss out on an opportunity. And this happened to a client of mine last year. He was looking for work, and the recruiter emailed him and wanted to set a time to set an appointment. And for some reason, my client did not check his email for like a week, and then went and got back to it, and guess what? It's too late. Like, the position's been filled, or we already have all the candidates. So you don't want to miss out on any opportunities. Make sure you're checking your email regularly because you don't want to miss out on anything. Second, I'm going to suggest that you be prepared and stay prepared. I think that it's a good idea to have something to write on and with at all times. I can't tell you how frustrating it was when I was a recruiter to have a 20-minute phone conversation with you, and at the end of it you go, "All right, thanks, James." No, I said my name was Jason. Now, I get it. You gotta, there's the phone app or the notes app on your phone, right? And you can put notes in on the app, but this is the, unless the person's on speakerphone, this is the move. You're like this, and you bring the phone down, and now you're like going through it and trying to find the app. They're either still talking or you should be talking at this point. This is just a huge distraction. So unless you have your AirPods in already while you're taking that call, like that move and trying to pull up the notes app could take, I know it's not going to take like that long, but in that time of space that it's taking, you're distracted from the conversation when you need to really be focused and dialed in. Now, I do think if you have advance notice, like if they sent you an email and we've set the time and you're going to be interviewing, it's going to be Tuesday at 3:00 and that they're going to be calling you. Okay, great. Make sure that you do your research on the company and the interviewer if possible. This is going to be a big help. And the other part of that too is make sure that you review the job description from the company. I get it. Like you're applying to jobs and you're applying and applying and applying and applying and applying. And then finally the recruiter calls and you're like, did I apply for that job? Well, obviously because somebody's calling you. But it might be a really good idea to go and review the job description again so that you know what it is that you're going to be talking about and how your skills translate and how to help solve that problem. I've said before on the show that employers are only going to hire people to solve their problems. You need to know what kind of problem you're supposed to be solving for the recruiter. Now, next, make sure you answer every phone call that comes in. Unless, and like, it's called a smartphone for a reason. Like, it will tell you spam risk. It's probably not one that you want to answer. But how many times have you done this? I don't know that number. Ignore. Pick up your phone. It could be a recruiter calling. And yes, the recruiter will be leaving a message. But you know what the recruiter is not doing? Just sitting here and waiting for you to call back. Nope. They're on to the next candidate call. So how recruiting works, like the job will land on my desk, new job. And the first thing that's going to happen is I'm going to run a search against that actual position in my database to see what candidates might be available. You can set the applicant tracking software different ways, but most of the time the way it's going to list out candidates is like the most recent person that called down that's going to match that. And so now all I'm going to start doing is start calling the list, provided it's a very similar match, and most of the time they're going to be. So then I'm just going to start calling the list. If I have to leave you a voice message, and even if you just call me back right away, I'm probably on the next candidate call. And now you're going to have to leave me a message. And then, will you get a call back? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not, though, because at this point, if I'm doing nothing but smiling and dialing and trying to get people set up for in-person or video interviews, remember, because it's just phone screen, I may have already have enough candidates. Realistically, and we just had a recruiter, a couple weeks ago, Christina Taylor was on, and she said, we're not going to submit more than at best five candidates to any specific hiring manager. So as soon as I have five people that say, yes, they're interested, I'm done and I'm going to move on to the next thing. Does that mean that I might not call you back? Absolutely it does. Because recruiting typically moves kind of fast. Even when I was a corporate recruiter, it moved pretty fast for most roles. So please pick up your phone. Answer the phone, please. You never know who's going to be calling. The other thing, too, is when you answer the phone, make sure that you say your name and sound chipper. Even like I will call clients sometimes, new clients, and they'll answer the phone and it'll be like, yes, hello. And I'm like, I don't know who I'm talking to. So it's like, okay, hi, is this Rick? Answer the phone. When you answer the phone, be like, hello, this is Rick. This is Rick. How can I help you? Yes, I know. Kind of sounds like, like you're calling in, like for customer service. How can I help you? But it makes a difference. Also, too, I'm going to back up a minute because we talked about, yes, the recruiter will leave you a voicemail, but make sure that your voicemail message uh, is professional. Um, Years ago, when I was working for the state, one of the things that we did working for the state is we would try to find candidates that are on unemployment for specific employers that had jobs and that were invested in our program. So I call up and had to leave a message for a potential match for this position, and the message for the voicemail was this: "This is Cat Daddy. You know what to do," and then the beep. And I did not know what to do. I had many, many questions in my head, like how many cats does he have? Are they exotic cats? Does he have like tigers and pumas and stuff? Or like, does he dress up like a cat and drink milk from a saucer? Like, I had all these questions in my head, and then and then the call ended, and I didn't get a chance to leave a message. And to this day, I have all these questions about Cat Daddy. I did not know what to do. So set your voicemail at a default or make it, hi, you've reached Jason Hopper. Please leave a message, that kind of thing. And, again, sound nice when you do it. Okay. Next tip. Practice. This is such a big one, guys. The one misstep I see most job hunters make is they don't put in enough time to practice interviewing. And this is the phone screen, right? And it's going to be a little bit different than the actual interview, but you still are going to need to practice, right? Just real quick. Hey, Jamie, I see you. Rhonda's working from home. Rhonda Robinson is our new career financial coach. She is in the chat and working from home today. Rhonda, I'm hoping to see you in the office tomorrow. And Yolanda, yes, Cat Daddy. All right. Make sure that you're practicing. Okay. I often will say that the interview is kind of like a test that you already have the answers to. Now, here's what I mean by that. We don't know everything that the employer might ask, but we do have an idea of some of the things that they could ask. They could ask, so tell me a little bit about yourself. You need to know how to answer that question. They could ask, what's your greatest strength? What's your greatest weakness? Typically on the phone screen, they're going to mostly focus on your experience, what experience that you have and how it would fit with this particular role. But it's important that you work on practicing so that you sound natural when you're answering questions, right? Just so you guys know, we do have a virtual interview practice program. We call it VIP Squared. We do it Tuesdays at 1 o'clock Central Time. And I've got a whole team of professionals that volunteer their time. They have extensive hiring experience. We're full up for today, but if you want to do it next week, which will be the 21st, email me and let me know. My email is jhopper, that's JHOPPER, at jfsdallas.org. Put practice interview in the subject line. I'm going to need your resume, and also tell me what job title that you want to interview for as well, because that's what we do is we will tailor, and this is something that you guys can do as well. So we tailor the questions for the interview based on what job that you want, right? And all I do is go to ChatGPT and type in list interview questions for a senior accountant. And there it goes. There's a whole, because of being like 22 questions, right? No, they won't ask you all 22 questions, but they will be geared towards your role as a senior accountant. This is something that you can do yourself. Get those questions printed out, industry specific, and then work on practicing answering those questions. Also, too, it's a great idea to have your star stories ready. So, STAR is an acronym. It stands for situation, task, action, and result. It's basically the story of how you solve a problem. There very well may be one, there won't be a lot, but there may be one or two behavioral-based interview questions in your phone screen. Behavioral-based interview questions are questions that are like this. So tell me about a time you had a difficult customer. How did you resolve that issue? Or tell me about a time you failed. What did you learn from it? Or tell me about a time, they're all the tell me about a time when questions, okay? And you need to be ready to go and ready to answer those questions and practice them. So for your behavioral-based interview questions, your STAR questions, what I suggest is that you write STAR vertically and then write out the situation, task, action, and the result. How did you solve this problem? The idea behind this is that past performance can predict future outcome, meaning if you solve this type of problem over here for this employer, you can come over here and do the same for us. That's why they ask those questions. They are still around. I just had a client tell me that they had an interview, and outside of tell me a little bit about yourself, every question they asked was a behavioral-based interview question. So be prepared and practice. The other thing that you can do as well to practice, if you have a friend or a roommate or a partner, you can they can ask you questions. You can just practice interview, okay? You can also set up a Zoom, record it just for you, and work on practicing and answering general interview questions as well as behavior-based interview questions and industry-specific questions also, right? I can't seriously, the number one fault and misstep, not enough practice. You've got to practice your stories so that they come out sounding naturally. And I'm going to tell you this, the people that have the best stories that are the best storytellers in interviews are the ones that are going to win. They are going to be the people that get remembered. And that's the name of the game. You have to have a story that's going to be memorable. And that's the thing that makes the difference. For sure. So please work on practicing. They will ask at the end of the phone screen, do you have any questions for me? Now, you need to understand you may not be talking to the hiring manager. You could be talking to a recruiter. You could be talking to HR. You could be talking to the admin who just is pitching in and screening candidates on the phone, right? So I think it's always a great idea to ask what the next step is in the process. This shows that you are engaged, okay? They usually will tell you, hey, we've got a couple other people to call, but, we'll be setting up in-person interviews starting next week. Another question is, when can I expect to hear back from you? For phone screens, I think that it's important. Yes, you need to close, but the closing is a little bit different than it would be like an in-person or video interview, a long-form interview, because this is just, again, 15 to maybe max 30 minutes. So it is a good idea to let them know that you are interested in the position, but that, you also want to know when you're going to hear back from them. And sometimes they're going to be real vague about it, well, if you're going to move on to the next round, you'll hear early next week. Okay, great. Um, and then I would say probably like if they don't hear back like midweek, follow up. They contacted you somehow, right? Like if they called you, right? If they called you, save the number in your phone, and it'd be like Mark, recruiter at McKesson. Save it. That way you can call back. And yes, I understand if it goes to the switchboard, but you have the person's name, right? You might have their email depending on how they originally contacted you, right? So you need to understand like this. So there's a lot of sometimes a lot of waiting around. Like, oh, I wonder if they're going to call me. I don't. This is your job search. You are in charge of the job search. So, like, what I'm saying to you is this. You've got, again, they called you. You have their phone number. You can call them back midweek whenever to follow up. But it's a good idea to follow up. Typically, employers are going to like candidates that are assertive. Another question you can ask is like, why is the position open? These are kind of general type of questions that whomever you're speaking to should know the answer to. Even if it's like the admin, they're probably going to know, Michelle got promoted and we just have to backfill her or whatever the situation is. So just remember, have some questions prepared to ask for them. Let's talk about setting. Make sure that you are going to take this call in a nice, quiet place that's going to be free from distraction. Starbucks is not the place to take this call. Years ago, when I was looking for work, I'm looking for work. As the phone calls, oh, somebody's calling. I'm going to pick up the phone and answer it. Well, sometimes I was at the dog park. It's not really the best time to take that call because there are dogs running around and barking. And wherever I am, or even the supermarket, right? Like if you go to the supermarket and you pick up the phone and they're calling and it's a recruiter, that might not be the best time to take that call. Phil Collins is playing in the background on the speakers. You're trying to decide if you want regular Captain Crunch or Captain Crunch or Crunch Berries. There's a kid screaming, running up and down the aisle. That might not be the great place to take that phone call. It is okay to say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm in the grocery right now. Can I call you back in 10 minutes? You have to remember, they called you. They do want to talk to you. Yes, will they be moving on to the next candidate call? Yes, they will. But you at least have set up that precedent. Like, I can't talk right now. This is not the best time to do it. Can we do? By the way, if that's the case, if you're shopping, right? Shopping's over. Go cash out. Get in the car. Call them back, right? We want to make as much of a commitment to stick to it as close to time as we can. I get it, the grocery might be busy or what, but you control as much of it as you can. So take the call in a nice, quiet area, please. I can't tell you, when I was a recruiter, even sometimes now, just as a career coach and calling clients, and the dog's barking. And it sounds like the dog is right here. I don't know why I have the phone. It's right here barking in the phone. And finally, what kind of dog do you have? Yeah, so nice quiet spot. If you have the time and you're prepared, have your resume either printed up or readily available in your hands so that you can refer to it and look at the skills that you have and how they might relate. This also can include questions that you want to ask them. I think so the more practiced and prepared we are, the more confident we become. Again, you practice your stories so that they sound natural. People are talking to you. Same thing, kind of like make sure that you've got your experience down ready. Yes, I know it's your experience, it's your career history, but like you want to make sure that you have it ready to go. You could also, provided that your experience section is completed on LinkedIn, you could have it, LinkedIn pulled up on your laptop or on your phone, even, to do that experience. Just keep it ready, readily. Yes, that is the correct pronunciation of that. Words are hard. Also, I've had a lot of coffee this morning. Okay. I'm going to suggest, too, that you dress professionally. This is more for mindset. You don't need to go put on a suit to take your phone call. I think for the most part, unless you're like a news anchor, a politician, maybe a doctor, the pandemic has pretty much killed suit and tie culture. So, but nice button down shirt, right? Pants, shoes, right? Again, dress as if you would be going out into the world to do an act or on video to do a phone screen, right? But it's just going to put you in the right mindset, and that's important. Like we can't be. I don't think like a great time to take a phone call or have your phone interview is you in your sleep pants and t-shirt laying on the bed. I think about that for a minute. I'm sure there have been the people that have done that sort of thing before, but like that's not the right mindset. You're interviewing for a job. Again, the phone screen gets you to the actual interview. It is a real interview. And if you're going to take a call, hang around in your PJs, laying in on the couch, that's not where we want to do that. Get into the right mode and frame of mind as you're going. Okay. And so, Jamie Seltzer said, if the recruiter doesn't like Phil Collins, perhaps that's a red flag. That's funny. Yeah, it could be. I think, I like angry Phil Collins more than happy love song Phil Collins. That's just me. Tell me in the chat, what Phil Collins do you prefer? Okay. Phone etiquette. This is the last tip, but it's a kind of important one. Do not smoke or vape, if you're a vapor, eat or chew gum while you're on the phone. I remember there was an episode of Seinfeld, and George was going to have a phone call with a potential person he wanted to date. He was like eating an apple on the phone because he thought it made him sound casual. And then Jerry finally said, like, enough of the apple, right? Don't eat or chew gum. I think chewing gum just in general is just annoying as hell, and I don't like gum. But, make sure that, again, you don't want any. Here's the good rule of thumb. Don't put anything in your mouth. Right? You want to be able to enunciate and say the words and project your voice. And if you have anything in your mouth, that's going to hinder that. Smile. Trust me, I can tell on the other end of that phone if you're smiling or not. I really can. So make sure that you are smiling. It makes the difference. And besides, nobody wants to hire like, oh yeah, I think I could probably do this job for you. No. Make sure that dude, an employer is calling you. You should be super happy. Or if they had something that is kind of be scheduled out, yeah, right? Like it's been scheduled, so you can you have time to prepare, and you should be in a good mood, right? And I just mentioned enunciating. Like, I talk fast. I know I do. So if you're going to be on a phone screen, you might want to slow that down. Again, you want to bring the energy and be happy, right? But, and I have I had a year ago, I have a friend, and he was going to go, he had an interview, phone screen. And I'm like, listen, because CJ talks fast. I'm like, CJ, when they call, slow down talking. Because I'm friends with him. We've been friends for years, and even sometimes he talks so fast. I'm like, what did you say? And he knows I'm not bagging on him. He knows this, right? Love you, CJ. So, and slow it down, especially if you do know that you talk fast. Okay. So that has been the live stream for today for Caffeinate Your Career. Next week, I've got a guest host. We've got Jay Arbetter for part one of a two-part series. Jay wrote a book called The Power Networking Strategy. And he will be in next week and then the week following for part two, talking about why networking is important and how to build a network. And trust me, you don't want to miss JR Better in here next week. So tune in next week. Fun question for the day. If you're in DFW or other parts of the U.S. that got snow, did you get out and play in the snow? I did not, because it's cold and I don't like being cold. So, all right. We'll see you next week. Y'all have a great week. And thanks for watching Caffeinate Your Career.